Okay. Let's get started, ladies and gentlemen. SAG-AFTRA actors are, the SAG-AFTRA Actors Union has voted to strike. So let's take a look.
Good afternoon. I'm Philip Palmer. This is an Eyewitness News update with breaking news out of Hollywood, where actors will join the picket lines. The SAG-AFTRA National Board announced a strike, and it begins at midnight. Actors are fighting for residual pay from streaming and the unregulated use of AI. The president of SAG-AFTRA, Fran Drescher, spoke just moments ago.
This negotiation be covered because the eyes of the world, and particularly the eyes of labor, are upon us. What happens here is important because what's happening to us is happening across all fields of labor. By means of when employers make Wall Street and greed their priority, and they forget about the essential contributors that make the machine run. We have a problem. And we are experiencing that right at this moment. This is a very seminal hour for us. I went in earnest, thinking that we would be able to avert a strike.
The group representing the studios responded that it was SAG-AFTRA who walked away from negotiations, saying in part, "This is the union's choice, not ours. In doing so, it has dismissed our offer of historic pay and residual increases, substantially higher caps on pension and health contributions, audition protections, shortened series option periods, a groundbreaking AI proposal that protects actors' digital likeness, and more." Thanks for joining us. Updates in.
I mean, there's literally it's not to be that guy, but there's a Black Mirror episode on the AI thing. AMPTP's groundbreaking AI proposal for oh yeah, hold on. Let's just watch the whole thing.
Coming to this press conference today. It's really important that this negotiation be covered because the eyes of the world, and particularly the eyes of labor, are upon us. What happens here is important because what's happening to us is happening across all fields of labor. By means of when employers make Wall Street and greed their priority, and they forget about the essential contributors that make the.
Do you care about this just because it's a union strike, or do your interests go deeper? That's a very weird question. Of course I care about labor action. I literally cover all matter of labor action. This is labor action in my backyard. It's an industry that's full of friends of mine. It's also one of the most public industries. I love when players' unions actually engage in any kind of labor action. I love when actors and writers engage in any kind of labor action, especially because they're so public. They're so immediately in the eyes of the broader population. This automatically makes it a issue of contention from the jump. And that is really good. That's a really good opportunity to do agitated propaganda because, like, a lot of people will look to this and go, why the fuck are these famous actors striking? They make so much money. And that there is an opportunity to, like, utilize that. There's an opportunity to utilize that and weaponize it against unionization in general, which is what a lot of the media does. They're like, yeah, look at these rich fucks. Like, why are they fucking, they want more. Their demands are so ridiculous, right? But for that, because of that, there's also someone that has to be on the other side of that, combating this kind of misinformation and getting other workers to recognize that they also could benefit from more workplace negotiations. And the only method of doing that is, of course, through labor organizing. Okay? Not to be a dick,
tomorrow.
but the president of SAG was apparently in Paris on the eve of negotiations. Wow, dude. That's really fucked up. They should just yeah, that means the union is really fucked up and their demands are busted too. Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. She was working, she had a contract. Nope, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It's really fucked up. I'm gonna take the fucking immediate anti-union lie, like anti-union propaganda, hook, line, and sinker, and then bring it up here. You were also in Paris, curious. Exactly. I was also fulfilling my contractual obligations. I love when people are just like, I don't get it. There's a labor action that's supposed to be happening. Why are you fulfilling the obligations of your contract prior to said labor action? Hello? That's the entire purpose of these contracts. It's that you maintain goodwill by saying, look, we will follow through all of the contracts you give us to a T until there's a moment of negotiation. And after the negotiation, if the unions democratically vote to engage in a work stoppage, then it's over. It's done until you meet our demands and the contract is ratified. You know what I mean? If actors negotiate their individual wage per contract, what does the union do? How does that work? Sorry if this is a dumb question. Unions get money from the studios across the board and also through dues and pay for healthcare and things of that nature, and also maintain minimums and maintain things such as residuals. That's actually not a bad question at all. It's actually the same exact, they work in the same exact capacity to the Writers Guild or even, to all the other guilds like IATSE, for example, that works aside on top of these other unions. This is how it works. They create standards, workplace conditions. They make sure that there is better profit sharing. They offer health care to the contracted employees. Everything that you see on a set, like from working hours, meals, breaks, all that kind of shit is negotiated by unions, because as we know, the bosses are never going to do that. They're not going to do that. They'll cut wherever they can. They'll cut it down whichever way they see fit. So this is at the heart of the matter. What is this? First blue check response I see is literally what you said. Now I become activist destroyer of movies. Stars Cillian Murphy and Emily Blunt leave Oppenheimer premiere as Hollywood actors are launching a strike that could stall the whole industry. Yeah. I mean, this is big. This is really, really big. Which actors do you think are going to come out as anti-union? Likely easy answer, Chris Pratt. No actor will come out as anti-union. They won't openly. I mean, they'll say the most you'll hear is like, no, dude, they're a part of SAG-AFTRA. You're SAG-AFTRA. You're crazy. No, here's what will happen. They'll make subtle remarks. Oftentimes, older actors will make subtle remarks that are like in the middle, like Tom Hanks. He'll say something along the lines of like, unions are really powerful and really good, but honestly, we also need to make sure that we don't go too far. Something along those lines. They'll never just straight up come out and be like, this union is shit. It's fucking dog shit. Fuck the union. They won't. They're literal members of the union. Do you think that this will prolong the writer's strike even more? Do you think this helped? This, of course, helps the writer's strike. Of course, additional components of a sector also engaging in work stoppages is going to increase the pressure, because what is a strike? It's a work stoppage. There's a negotiations process. There's a contract. There's a back and forth. And your goal as the labor union is to ensure that there's as much pressure, because companies are incentivized by profit. There's as much pressure as possible on a lot of these publicly traded companies that have boards that have a fiduciary responsibility to their shareholders to constantly and consistently increase shareholder value. And when there's a work stoppage, you're seeing a massive hit to shareholder value. So their job is to nip this in the bud. Their job is to stop this as quickly as possible. Precisely the reason why there's a lot of legalese that makes union activity as difficult to conduct as possible. Okay? That's also why there are, anti-labor union law firms that these studios work with in order to either A, stop strikes, dead in its tracks, or B, and more frequently, this is a multi-billion-dollar industry, stop workplaces from unionizing to begin with, because unions are terrifying to the bosses. Because the bosses don't want you to have any fucking power. They want you divided. They do not want you united, because divided, you beg, but united, you bargain. Okay? I think one of the things that was truly unhinged was when the AMPTP openly stated, like some of the heads of studios openly stated, we will wait this out until some of you become homeless. That is a truly, truly insane, unhinged, giving the game away ass beat right there. You know what I mean? It's like the top of the hour ad break. It's open and shut. At the top of the hour, you're going to see a 3-minute ad break. If you no longer want to see those ads, all you need to do is subscribe, right? You know it. I know it. That's how it fucking works. So for a boss to very open and shut, black and white, on no uncertain terms, directly tell you what they are planning to do, it's crazy. It's crazy to me, right? Well, don't fear. Like I said, you can also get gifted a sub if you're lucky, if you want to avoid the crazy 3-minute ad break at the top of the hour. Here's the 3-minute ad break now. Not sure if you saw Adam Conover's tweet. I have not, but here, we can get started with that. Adam's going to be on the stream.
So yesterday, some studio executives told the press that they were planning.
We're going to have Adam on in a little bit, too, to come talk about this. He's, I mean, such a perfect person to be, like, the spokesperson for this sort of thing. He's obviously sitting on the negotiations committee for the WGA. He's also a part of SAG-AFTRA as well, so he can speak on both. I'm also looking, I've hit up a bunch of my friends to see if they are interested in participating in the pickets alongside myself, like some of the actors that are SAG-AFTRA. And on top of that, I am planning on having maybe some spokespersons from the union as well, or someone that's higher up. I put out some feelers out there to have some people on. Potentially I might. Oh, Alex is also going to be staying with me. Alex Press, as she obviously writes about the story. So, you'll be seeing her a lot more as well on stream. So, that's it. Hasan, you're going to pitch a movie out there? Of course I'm going to. All right, let's continue.
On waiting out the Writers Guild until October, when writers will lose our apartments and homes and become homeless, and then be forced to come back to the table and take a bad deal. Now, first of all, I cannot believe that they said this. They took the mask off. They told on themselves, bigger than anyone I have ever seen. But also, they are dead fucking wrong, because writers are in this for the long haul. We have a strike fund that we use to support other writers who are on hard times. We are raising money for crew members and other people affected by the strike. And most importantly, we know that if we do not get a fair deal, we will not have jobs to go back to. So we are not going to leave this picket line. We are going to keep withholding our labor until the companies come back to the table and make a fair deal. And they're going to do that. You know why? Because they need us. Every dollar they make begins with us. So they are not starving us out. We are starving them out. And until they come back to the table, there will be no writing. So yesterday, some studio executives
pretty wild thing to hear openly from the studios when they're supposed to be negotiating in good faith. Them stating openly that, like, you know, on no uncertain terms is kind of unimaginable. I do think that they're getting way too fucking big for their britches. They're getting way too comfortable. Like, how do you feel like you can get away with that? I mean, but then again, these guys, they test the market. They know what people have a taste for. They understand. Maybe they think that unions are not as positive, or at least like these types of unions are not as positively perceived by the broader population, because there's always the other side of anti-union sentiment where people go, oh, these guys are so lazy. They're so demanding. They're so spoiled. They're so entitled. How dare they? How dare they go around and demand more? They're fucking actors. They're living the high life, which, by the way, you, of course, saw. They said that about writers, too, which is additionally laughable because, you know, outside of the public-facing writers that don't make that much money, plenty of writers that are even famous don't make a lot of money at all. Whereas with actors, there's an even larger pool of actors that don't make a lot of fucking money. We're talking extras. We're talking stuntmen. We're talking all of the different aspects that are on camera on the Hollywood production side. And the reality is, even if they're making a lot of money or not, this is a demand to take back more of the value that they generate. Never forget, this is not about whether you like a particular movie or not. This is not about whether you like a particular actor or not. This is not about whether they have good politics personally or not. I always say this, unions are not about being left or right. Unions are about fairness. Fairness. When you go to work, no matter where you are, under a capitalist organization of the economy, you go to work every fucking day and you're generating value for that company. You're doing something. Even if you're just fucking sitting there and acting like you're looking at spreadsheets, ultimately the company has decided that you are a net benefit to them. Okay? That's called profits. They're extracting your surplus labor value. They're paying you wages and they're getting more in return for those wages. So when unions get together, it's not about asking for unjustifiable things, but it's usually just about demanding that out of the value that they create, not the arbitrary amount, by the way, out of the value that they create for their bosses, they want some of that back. That's it. And it's kind of funny because everybody always looks at the output. They're like, players unions. I don't really understand. I mean, the fucking Spurs are dog shit this year or whatever. And it's like, yeah, it doesn't matter because whatever a particular player is making in the form of wages, in the form of their contracted wages, their bosses are making a shitload more off of their players. That's it. That's how this works. A decade ago, Steven Spielberg predicted that an implosion in the film industry would happen where half a dozen movies with high $250 million budgets will flop at the box office and alter the industry forever. Yeah. So, like, a lot of people will look to, like, the Indiana Jones movie, or a lot of people will look to all of these big budget blockbuster movies that are failing and go, the actors in it suck, or the writers in it suck. And what they fail to realize is a writer or an actor is, in many respects, no different than you at your fucking white-collar job, you at your blue-collar job. They are directed to make a product. They play a role in making that product. They can shape it to their own vision, but in many respects, they're not allowed to. Okay? These studios go, make this product. We focus tested it. We looked at, like, what markets are going to pick this product up and like it and consume it and enjoy it. Make this product now. And then the writers go, yes, sir, let's do it. So it has nothing to do with your own personal consumption or your understanding of whether this product is good or not. I know that this medium is very subjective, the way that you perceive it, so it's very hard not to see it in that light, but it doesn't work that way. I'll give you the greatest example. Young Sheldon or The Big Bang Theory, okay? Many of you will sit here and say The Big Bang Theory sucks ass. We make jokes about it all the time. However, The Big Bang Theory is a tremendously successful television show. Do you think that it was a passion project for some of the writers? Maybe one or two. But for the most part, all of the writers that were on that show were just generating value. They probably wanted to write better shit, but they couldn't because this is what their job was. Okay? That's it. They didn't write Bazinga because they love Bazinga and they think this is incredible. They wrote Bazinga because that's what the studio executives knew was good. And while from our own personal understanding, the show does not meet the metric of artistic tastes, the refined taste of the Twitch audience, it still was a profoundly successful show. So if that show's making, let's say, $1 billion, I think the writers deserve more of the profits that show is generating than what they're currently getting. Some people have ate propaganda so hard that they believe talking about your salary with coworker is a bad thing. My coworker didn't want to discuss the top of the hour at work. That's crazy because it's not the top of the hour, and I already ran the 3-minute ad break. So you should tell your coworker to try again, sweaty. Maybe in a little bit. Fucking got him. Coming here with that weak shit. Here is one of the proposals. Let's take a look at that. The studio's AI proposal to SAG-AFTRA included scanning a background actor's likeness for 1 day's worth of pay and using their likeness forever in any form without any pay or consent. Netflix putting out Joan is Awful episode of Black Mirror and then doing this is additionally ironic. But it's just like the Barry episode. Like, the Barry writers that are a part of the fucking Writers Guild of America wrote the episode of Barry where they're talking about big streamers like HBO, which Barry's on, fucking them over and shutting down their goddamn show because these guys live in it. And the studios don't care. The studios, as long as they're making money, as long as the show is popular, will let you say it. Not new. This is in every industry, okay? This is the same concept throughout time. This is the same concept throughout time. Remember? They once said, capitalists will capitalists will sell us the rope in which we hang them from. This is the concept. This is that theory in action that you're seeing. Like, they don't give a shit. As long as they're making short-term profits, they will fucking upload videos like that. As long as I'm still generating value for Amazon, more value than I take from them in the forms of subscriptions and ad revenue that they're taking off the top, they don't give a fuck if I'm also funding simultaneously the Amazon labor union. They don't give a fuck if I'm also speaking out against Amazon's harsh, horrific labor practices. This is how it works.
I do like.
Anyway, here's the classic Barry episode that I was talking about that the Writers Guild writers wrote.
Laptop and typed out the entire title, JOPLIN, and still had no matches. It wasn't until I typed out SALLYREEDNEWSHOWJOPLI that it auto-completed the rest, and I found the show. So what do we need to do to get it back on the homepage?
We are canceling the show.
What?
Why? Well, the algorithm felt it wasn't hitting the right taste clusters.
Taste clusters? It's been 12 hours. Don't we need time to get word of mouth?
Oh, the algorithm takes word of mouth into account. But it considers other things too. For instance, if viewers see someone eating dessert within the first 2 minutes of the episode, they almost always finish the entire season.
Always.
Oh, and it's not just dessert. The same goes for Central Park, Kittens, Dev Patel.
We have a 98 on Rotten Tomatoes.
Right.
98. And people were crying at the screening.
I know. And I was one of them. But I guess I was wrong.
Why do you even bother? Watching cuts, giving us notes.
Careful.
If you're just gonna let some machine make all your decisions for you.
See, I can see that you're upset, and if there was someone I could call to override the decision, I would, but I can't because I am that person. You know, does that track for you? You know, maybe if Pam hadn't stolen your thunder.
Pam has a 27%.
But the right verticals are watching. Taste clusters exploding.
Yeah, you know, I've been doing this for 30 years. And if there's anything I've learned, it's nobody knows anything except the algorithm.
Fuck the algorithm!
And you know, as you were saying that, I thought,
Matt Damon with a middle ground take. From what I understand, they cut it before he was done with his full take. Okay, that's what people are saying.
Ben and I just started this little independent studio, and you know we're 3.5 movies in. We're shut down on one of them right now. We're just waiting for everything to resolve. So, and it's you know it's brutal for our sister unions. It's brutal for IATSE. You know what I mean? It's like, and it's going to be tough for the actor, for 160,000 actors. So nobody wants a work stoppage, but if our leadership is saying that the deal isn't fair, then we gotta hold strong till we get a deal that's fair for working actors. For, you know, it's the difference between having health care and not for a lot of actors, and we got to do what's right by them.
Wait, he didn't say anything bad. This is not anti-union. Matt also said if our leadership is saying the deal isn't fair, then we got to hold strong until we get a deal that's working for actors. There's a difference between having health care and not for a lot of actors, and we got to do what's right by them. That's not middle of the road at all. No, you guys just read the Deadline Hollywood. You didn't watch the video. You read the Deadline Hollywood quote, which quoted him halfway to make it seem like he is against the strike. Matt Damon at the Oppenheimer Theater says the Hollywood labor strikes will be brutal for actors in his own production company, which has shut down one of his company's films. This is 1,000% sensationalist propaganda. They're doing this on purpose. I'm glad that they didn't cut the clip, though. I'm glad that they didn't just, like, cut the clip. The leadership recognizes that it's the difference between having healthcare and not. All right, they did it with this one too. That's so funny that they're just like clip jumping. Kenneth Branagh on the Hollywood labor strikes. I hope as everyone does it that it resolves itself quickly. It's truly amazing how Deadline takes every actor's very pro-work stoppage sentiment quote and trims it to sound anti-work stoppage. It's like when they make it look like Homer Simpson said, "Sweet, sweet can," only in real life over and over again.
But it does that. It resolves itself quickly, but it's such a critical time in our industry. The implications of what's happening with that agreement.
That's so funny that the media is not working alongside labor unions. This is why I love strikes in industries that are highly visible. Okay? This is why I love it personally, because it's a wonderful opportunity for a lot of people to see the true nature of labor press coverage for the most part, with obvious exceptions, and the true nature of how capital owners work against the workers. Because Matt Damon is fucking insanely famous. Everyone wants to hear what Matt Damon has to say. People are going to be paying a lot more attention to fucking Matt Damon than they do to the UPS strikes that are about to happen, right? That's been ongoing for a moment now. I've covered the Teamsters contract negotiations, okay? But the reality is the broader public doesn't care about it as much. They should, but this is a great opportunity for people to learn, okay?
Go way beyond the membership of SAG-AFTRA. It's an existential moment in our industry, and I think it's not a surprise that it's a difficult thing to thrash out. I do think everybody's trying to get a fair deal, but I'm in solidarity with SAG. I've been a member for over 33 years. I think they're doing the best they can, and I think it's the way to go. Yes, it's we listen we know everything's affected. I hope it's going to be something that motivates people.
Guys, it's Oppenheimer. It's going to have some Christopher Nolan-ass audio at the fucking red carpet even, okay? What do you expect? What do you expect? Christopher Nolan is deaf, okay? He's deaf. Make no mistake. He is a person who can't hear, okay? That's why his movies are cut the way that they are. Do not expect to hear dialogue when you watch Oppenheimer. Expect your eardrums to be blown out like a motherfucking atomic bomb test by the end of the movie. And, you know, develop a better understanding of how Christopher Nolan goes through his day. I'm seeing it in IMAX. I'm going to die. Oh, brother, good luck. Yeah, a lot of people act like going to see The Sound of Freedom is a chore. Meanwhile, the real chore is going to the movie theater and watching a Christopher Nolan movie without having all of your senses assaulted, okay? That's the real fucking chore. It's a significantly larger chore. Leaving a Christopher Nolan movie unscathed is a larger chore than watching Sound of Freedom in a fucking movie theater with no AC on, okay? Great. At IMAX, they actually set off a nuke in the theater. It's crazy. Libbed up ear take. Yeah. Christopher Nolan, Oppenheimer, favorite seats in the movie theater are way up front. Oh my God, he's such a fucking psycho, dude. He's such a freak. I'm telling you, he wants everyone. He's like the deaf community doesn't like cochlear implants. He is the deaf community's biggest rider. He's deaf himself, and he wants everyone else to be deaf. I'm telling you. I saw Interstellar in IMAX a decade ago. Dude, I watched Dunkirk. Okay? I'm not even kidding. I think I have PTSD now. Okay? I feel unsafe when fireworks explode. I didn't even serve in war. I just watched Dunkirk in the movie theaters. That's his goal. His goal literally is to be like, oh, you want to watch my movies? I'm going to make it difficult for you. We have concluded your PTSD and hearing damage are not service related. Yeah. God forbid a veteran watch the Christopher Nolan flick. They're not getting their fucking 100% eligibility. Tonight is part of the red carpet goodie bag. Yeah. Just like permanent ear damage. If you are probably not as bad when you're actually shooting the movie. It's just bad on the editing floor. That's all I'm stating. Like it's most likely bad when you're watching it. Okay. Here's Bob Iger, who makes $27 million a year, complaining that writers and actors aren't realistic in their demands, refuse to answer what's unrealistic, and admits a strike will be devastating. Yes, that's how strikes work. That's why they're effective.
Speaking of content, we're in the midst of a writer's strike, and very likely it would seem to have a actors' strike. How is that going to impact things, and what are your expectations there?
Well, I think it's very disturbing to me. We've talked about disruptive forces on this business and all the challenges that we're facing and the recovery from COVID, which is ongoing. It's not completely back. This is the worst time in the world to add to that disruption. I understand any labor organization's desire to work on the behalf of its members to get the most compensation, to be compensated fairly based on the value that they deliver. We managed as an industry to negotiate a very good deal with the Directors Guild that reflects the value that the directors contribute to this great business. We wanted to do the same thing with the writers, and we'd like to do the same thing with the actors. There's a level of expectation that they have that is just not realistic, and they are adding to a set of challenges that this business is already facing that is, quite frankly, very disruptive.
So they're not being realistic?
No, they're not.
Why not?
I can't answer that question. I respect their right and their desire to get as much as they possibly can in compensation for their people. I completely respect that. I've been around long enough to understand that dynamic.
Do you, though?
And to appreciate it. But
That's awesome. Oh, no, totally. I do. But also, I am literally the main guy. Like, single-handedly, because this is how corporations work, unlike how labor unions work, because labor unions are democratic. Labor union leaders are voted for that position. Labor union contracts that they negotiate for are ratified through the democratic process. Bob Iger and capitalist corporations don't work in that same regard. He quite literally tomorrow could be like, fuck this shit. We're done. We're done with this strike. We're capitulating. We're caving to your demands. They're very reasonable. And we're just going to go and offer you all of your demands, which literally the sum total of which, for the WGA at least, is $420 million. It's literally like Zaslav and fucking Bob Iger's salaries combined, okay? It's a blip. It's an accounting error for these fucking multi-billion-dollar studios. And yet they still are like, nope, not going to do it. So understand that they're pumping and dumping a shitload more into whatever dumbass project that's never going to get launched. They're losing and forgetting more money. They're hiding more money in accounting errors, famously Hollywood accounting, so they can get tax breaks than giving $400+ million to the Writers Guild. $400 million back in the value that the revenue that they are generating, for the record. So Bob Iger could literally stop all this tomorrow. Oh, yeah, for the record, where is he saying this? Oh, it's Sun Valley Billionaires Camp, of course. That's right. More than 40 CEOs and investors and industry leaders have began arriving at Sun Valley, Idaho on July 11th. This is famously where I believe Amazon or Jeff Bezos decided to purchase the Washington Post. This is where all the billionaires get together. They love this. They love this kickoff. They love going to fucking Sun Valley. Sun Valley has the opportunity to do the funniest thing in the world if they could. 40 attendees are there. We'll talk about who's there right now, what the fuck they're doing in a second. But, different from the Bohemian Grove. Yes, the Bohemian Grove is like a boys club for politicians and celebrities to like do gay shit without women around them, okay? That's very different. It's a place that the Bohemian Grove was a place for them to explore their sexualities. This is a place where they're wheeling and deal making, but not like Davos, you know what I mean? The irony, of course, is that the Sun Valley, Idaho, if I'm not mistaken, Sun Valley, Idaho is one of those places where like there's also an incredible, uneven, and awful real estate market. So all the people that have to work those events during that duration, or during like other tourist seasons where they have, I think like they have like extreme sports and like snow season and shit like that, where they have to live in their fucking cars. Oh, I'm thinking of Jackson Hole, Wyoming. Never mind. But ski resort towns are like that too. I'm pretty sure Sun Valley, Idaho is like that too. Sun Valley is a ski resort town, yes. Yep. A lot of those places are desolate hellholes for the population that actually work and serve you your food and your water and work behind the scenes to make sure the plumbing is working. You know what I mean? It's great. Good stuff.
And their desire to get as much as they possibly can in compensation for their people. I completely respect that. I've been around long enough to understand that dynamic and to appreciate it. But you also have to be realistic about the business environment and what this business can deliver. It is and has been a great business for all of these people, and it will continue to be, even through disruptive times.
Yeah.
But
these guys just don't understand business, baby. Or maybe they understand it real well, and that's what frustrates you.
You know, being realistic is imperative.
What do you do in the interim, then? Does AI start to write a lot of scripts?
It will have a very, very damaging effect on the whole business, and unfortunately,
the strike will.
There's huge collateral damage in the industry.
That's kind of wild that the CNBC guy's like, oh, what are they going to do? What are you going to do? Write it with AI? That's the most contentious CNBC interview I've ever seen against the dude who your job is to literally glaze up, just suck his dick to completion, okay?
To people who are, who are support.
It's like, yeah, the strikes are bad for the industry. It's like, oh yeah, well, you could make strikes not ever happen. Here's a fun fact. Engage in the bargaining period in good faith, like actually, as the law dictates you do, and offer whatever the fuck the unions are asking for, because it's not like the unions are asking for more than you can offer. The unions are only capable of asking whatever the fuck they are generating in the form of revenue, in the form of surplus labor value, in the form of profits.
Services. I could go on and on. It will affect the economy of, different regions even, because of just the sheer size of the business. It's a shame. It is really a shame.
Maybe you could take $17 million a year in the extra tank and pay the people who think up and write, illustrate, create product that brings them so much money. $25 million of his $27 is stock. So you want to give non-Disney writers Disney stock as a payment instead of cash? Dude, that's crazy. Dude, there's no other way to do this. First of all, the reason why his payment is in stock is because there are tax benefits to it. You're such a fucking idiot. But of course, what am I expecting from a guy? Wait, is this like ETH? Does that mean he's like a crypto guy? I don't know. He's a guy who fucking bought stupid ass Twitter Blue. God, I hate how fucking stupid people are. I find myself intensely disliking. Oh, by the way, Culture Crave is actually pretty good with this kind of stuff, surprisingly. I didn't know it was like that, but they're always like pretty pro-labor.